YouTube, back at you guys again with another video. In this video, we're gonna change out the levers. Levers on this bike is pretty good, I'm not complaining, but on the clutch side, I would like a little bit more adjustability, only because like where the clutch side is set is pretty much set. The brake side, you get a little more adjustability because it's Brembo. We're gonna change out the levers. I've looked all over YouTube. You see people change out their levers on this bike, but they don't show you the process. I think that's kind of odd, but they'll say, oh, look at the stock levers. In this video, we're gonna change out the levers, and the next thing you know, the levers have changed, but you don't see the process on how to do it if you wanna do it to your bike. We're gonna do it in this one. So remember how in the beginning videos, earlier on this playlist, you wanna have a little bit of play on your clutch. You don't wanna, when you're riding, the clutch to be so tight that you don't know if it's, I don't know if it's called engaged or disengaged, but you don't want it to be pulled, but it's flat on your clutch side. So I always look at how much play it has before. So when I put the new lever on, I remember how much play it has after. Some ASV levers. I had ASV levers before in the past, and I like the way they feel, especially with the part where you grab, because it's rounded. The stock one is more flat. I'll show you the difference here in a second. And if you think I haven't had levers before, you know what I'm saying? So, but the difference between these and the new ones is these are the standard length levers. So let's change these out real quick, right? So if you have your bike on stands, right? You want to put the front on the ground. Reason why you want to put the front on the ground is because you have to put this down on the floor. Some people take these two off. I mean, I think I'm going to, just to make it a little bit easier on myself. And you have to loosen the tension on the clutch cable. So loosen the tension here, take these two off, so you can get this nut off. And then once you loosen the tension, you're gonna have a little bit of play to where you can take this part off on the bottom. I'll show you that in a second. All right, so I don't remember the size. I don't think the size is on here. I think it's a 4.5 or a 5 millimeter. But just loosen this. I usually start from the bottom. The bottom is easier to loosen for some reason on all clip-ons. And then you take the top off with this twist with ease. I do have a ram mount. I did a video on it on how to install it. You will need very specific parts to install your ram mount. I had the magnet here before, but I had a scare and I thought I lost my phone, but I didn't. It just actually fell here and I grabbed it before it hit the ground and hit the highway. So I said, you know what? I want something that's a little more sturdy. Ended up going with a quad lock. I said ram mount, my goodness. All right, so once you loosen this up a little bit, it should come loose. I don't tend to take it all the way off, but you can. Let me grab my magnets. All right, so now that I know I got it all the way loose, let me loosen this up. That's the wrong way. I like to loosen the top one first, mainly because when you loosen the top one, you kind of have an idea on how much play you need to take it off. So, you need to make sure that this is, what do you call it when it's not touching? Disengaged or engaged? Let me know in the comments below. But it comes with a little stem for the new lever. You need to make sure it's the same setup. So at this part, what I usually do is I just take a photo, and then I just take it all the way off. All right, when you get the clutch lever off, this sensor you want to take off. Once you take this sensor, so to take this sensor off, which is that little switch sensor that I was talking about before, you need to get a flathead or a Phillips screwdriver. Take this screw out. Please take your time. Don't use an impact or anything, or just use your hand and pressure and just twist it off. If you strip this, game over. So take your time with this. Once you take the sensor off, which is here, this is a 10 millimeter. All you need, take this screw out, then it's gonna push through. That pin, everything is gonna come off, and then you're gonna see how easy this part is to take off. All right, so once you get that 10 millimeter nut off, look inside of here. You see that little wad, that little spacer? Don't lose it. Like I always say, man, keep your OEM parts. So what I'm gonna do now, I don't want this to go all the way inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use two hands. Some people zip tie to this part. I'm not gonna zip tie anything. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just pull it out, set it over here, so I know it doesn't go inside. Then I'm gonna grab the new lever. I'm gonna put it in place, but I gotta make sure that this hole, it matches the new one. You know what I feel like saying? If you do one clutch, you do them all. But basically, when it gets to this point right here, you see how it can just slide right out? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it down, and it should come right off. Let's see if we can one-hand this thing. No. Okay, guys, so I guess I'm like everybody else. This part right here was pretty hard to put on with one hand. I was trying, it just would not work for me. So I just put this is the new lever for the clutch side. I just put this part on. I did not put the sensor press on, only because I just wanted to make sure I go over this part, because this part's the most important. But I would recommend put it onto the bike first, not on your bench or whatever. Try to line it up with your eyes compared to the other one, only because you need to make sure this is completely compressed when the clutch is not engaged. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna put the original pin back, and then I'm gonna put this clutch sensor back, and then I'm gonna figure out where it needs to line up to, because it's completely adjustable. You can put it further up, further down, and in the middle. I think it's the one in the middle with the 2 pins. I almost forgot a very vital step. Don't forget your blue Loctite. Once you get your blue Loctite on there, we can go ahead and put it on the bike. Okay, so now after looking at this a few times, I took this off like maybe 4 times. The best one that lines up is the one at the very bottom too. That's gonna hold the sensor completely decompressed, engaged. Oh Lord, is it engaged or disengaged? I can't remember. But when the pin is all the way in, you have to use the bottom 2. All right, we're almost there just on the clutch side. I hope this video is not taking too long, but I think this is the part where a lot of people get a little nervous. So I'm just doing this so you have an idea on how to do it. The Brembo brake side is a little nerve-wracking also, but I'll make it simple to where you can do it yourself. All right, so you see how see how it's compressed? It's just like this when it was OEM. This is how you want it to be compressed. And obviously when you pull in the clutch, it's gonna pull the cable. This obviously moves off, the sensor comes out. I can't show you that because it requires a lot of pressure to pull, and this has to be on the clip-on in order to do that. So I can't demonstrate what it does, but just trust that when you pull this lever, this little pin comes out, and then when you let go, obviously it goes back in. All right, once you get it on the bike, it's still loose, as you can see. It's really loose, but the beauty of this lever compared to the OEM one is I can adjust it to where I want it to be, which I think is the best part. Okay, some of you guys might say, oh, how do you know where you want it to line up according to your hands? To me, a guy asked me at bike night, what are these for? And I told him, oh, so I can align this whenever I change it. So if you see this video, man, I was just kidding. These actually protect the levers if the bike goes down. Sometimes the bike goes down so hard to where it break off the entire clip on. But I was just kidding when I told you that this helps me align this. I was actually playing with you. But you walked away too fast for me to find you to answer the question correctly. So if you're watching this video, man, these are to protect this aftermarket lever with this, and then I'll know, okay, it's in the same riding position. I don't have to make any adjustments as I ride. The only thing I have to adjust is the actual grab point, which is easy. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make it to where the play on here is how I was on the OEM. You want a little bit of play. You want a little bit of play, but you don't want a lot of play. You know what I mean? And you don't want to have no play at all. If you have no play at all, that means you're gonna burn your clutch, buddy. My riding style, I have it right where I want it. So usually if I'm riding aggressive or whatever, I just want to be able to pull a little bit, just enough to disengage the clutch and then get right back on. I think that's a little bit too much. So let me dial it back out a little bit. Yeah, that feels just right. So just pull it, disengage, switch. And keep going, baby. All right, so let's go over to the brake side. This is where I think a lot of people get nervous. The brake side to me is a lot easier than the clutch side, because it's basically all you're doing is taking this off. So some of you might be like, what is this? This part does stand a little bit higher than the lever. The reason why I have it like this, the bike goes down, I want this part to break off before this lever makes contact. If I have them leveled at the same height, they're gonna make contact with the ground at the same height. Just a little bit about me. And this part here is the scariest part because it's like, oh, how do I get this pin out? You just pull it, and that pin comes right out. I didn't know. I thought you had to unscrew this the first time. I was like, man, what the hell? I don't know how to do it. I didn't see a video nowhere. But then I realized, oh, if you pull this out, it's like a pin, a smooth pin that goes inside back, and it makes contact with the master cylinder, and it pushes and forces the fluid out and breaks the bike. But this, the OEM one is adjustable. If you pull this out, you can turn this pin and you can make it longer. Geez, I made it too long to where now it's making contact with this guy. But you can make it short as well. Let's see if I go the other way. Yeah, I think you guys get the gist. So you see now I have a gap. If you keep turning, it can get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. But I don't know. I like it to where it's like right in between the two. Again, if it makes contact with the ground, I want this to break off first, and then I save my levers. But I don't get rid of my OEM parts, so I think I should be fine. All right, so once you get it off, remember this Allen key is what holds this stud in place, and then you want to take that 10mm bolt off right there. All right, so the way this one comes, this push pin here sits inside of here. And you have the different adapters for the brake light sensor. Then you have these different washers or spacers. You're gonna use both. One's gonna go on the top, one's gonna go on the bottom. So one here, and then the stud goes through it and it holds this guy in place. So it comes with a spacer also. I probably should take it off. It comes with a spacer inside of here, the OEM one already. You may have to reuse that spacer so that this pin or this stud stays in place. All right, once you get that 10mm out, this will not just push out. You have to actually unscrew it out. All right, I think I got it all the way out. There we go. Come on, damn it. I don't want to mess up. But from here, you just pull it, and then this is gonna obviously not go nowhere. But you see the hole size has to be the same thing on the bottom. But the OEM, the aftermarket ones, the hole is a little bit bigger. So you see this little spacer right here? This guy moves and it doesn't. Okay, but whatever. This part, you just pull it out. It's not coming. This part. You see see this part right here? This needs to come off. But I can't do it with one hand. You gotta basically get your finger in there and then just pull it out. And then this whole thing will come. All right, so when you take it off, this is basically what it's gonna look like. So this don't come off. This stays with the lever. Don't try to take this off and lose your life. I'm laughing because I remember the time I tried to take this off. Okay, and the brake light switch is not coming up on the light, but there's this little blue thing right here. It's all the way in the back. See it right there? That's what this part makes contact with. So on the new one or the aftermarket one, you're gonna have to make this line up with that little switch in the back. And you're gonna know that's how you have brakes. But just remember that this part, there's no screw, there's no bolt, there's no nothing. You just pull this right off and it'll come out of that little hole to the master cylinder. Let me hurry up before I let too much air in here. On this part, what I like to do is I just basically line them up. It's only one. You just got to get the right thickness and the right length. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's a skinny one. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to use a skinny one just to be sure. And then before you put these guys in, you grab that one screw. You grab the one that was on the top. And if you look, it doesn't fit. Like if you look, that thing moves around, right? But if you put it in here, it's a solid, you see what I mean? Because this part gets a little bit scary if you're not sure. So put this inside of here, obviously with a little bit of grease, and then this sits perfectly in here. Does that make sense now? So one on the top, one on the bottom, use a little bit of this grease, and it should be the same setup as this. Basically what you're doing is you're mimicking this setup. So this part this part here will sit inside of this hole and just sit and rest in there. And every time you pull off the brakes, it's gonna push it back out. When you press the brakes, it's gonna push it in and then push it back out. That's what makes this pin move. So yeah, so don't get rid of your OEM parts. All right, so grab your pin, put a little bit of grease on your pin, and just slide it in there. It should go till it can't go anymore, like that. So once you have your pin in place, now you can grab the lever and put the lever in place. So let me do that real quick. Okay, of the two, the one you're gonna use, I just measured it and tested it a few times, is the skinny one. So don't forget your blue Loctite, just a dab. And then this adapter piece is dummy proof. It only goes on one way. So you put that on, and then when you put it in, it's gonna sink inside. So I'm gonna put the little screw in, put the Allen head in, and I forgot my Allen. Okay, now once you have it on, let's see if we can put it on the bike. So let's see. I know it can go on the bike. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna need two hands again. But basically, you want to make sure that this little pin sits inside that hole, and I'm gonna need two hands. Oh, there we go. And this slides in place. Come on. Yeah, it's not gonna slide in place. Not with one hand at least. Just got tight. Okay, let me just put it on the bike. You guys get what I'm trying to say, right? I think it's pretty simple. Some might say the easiest part is done. Nah, I'm only kidding. The hardest part is basically getting it the way you want it. I pretty much know that I want it to be like this, like the old one, and just tighten down these two bolts, which is here. The beautiful thing about this adapter piece is it tells you which way faces up. So put it on like that, and that's the install for the levers, man. Finally tighten everything down to spec. So I did a little bit of homework. I'm gonna tell you the specs real quick. 20 inch-pounds. I think I'm saying that right. 20 inch-pounds. Same thing, 20 inch-pounds. That little thing on the bottom, this nut on the bottom here is 15 inch-pounds. The one on the bottom here, 15 inch-pounds, and you adjust to how you like it. Yeah. So, want to thank you guys for watching this simple, to me, not to everyone, simple lever replacement install on your ZX 6th Gen Kawasaki Ninja 10, ZX10. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.